Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? All right. Well, welcome to the 51st annual Homecraft Days here at Mountain Empire Community College in Big Stone Gap, Virginia. We're so excited to be here. And before we get started, we're going to have a few guest speakers here to help welcome you all to the campus. We've got a jam-packed weekend planned for everybody with crafts and demonstrations and music and dances and so on. And we really couldn't do it without our partners here at Mountain Empire Community College. I always say Big Stone Gap is so incredibly lucky to have an institution that values the cultural arts here in their community. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our fearless leader and president, Dr. Chris Westover.
Thanks, Tyler. Good evening and welcome to Mountain Empire Community College. I'm so excited to be here tonight to kick off our 51st annual Homecraft Days. And as you may have recognized or seen around, that we are in our 50th year at the college. So 51 years of Homecraft Days and 50 years of the college means that we actually started Homecraft Days before the college opened, which is just absolutely amazing. And it's such a great pleasure, and I feel like it's a blessing to be a part of this. Thank you all for coming. We wouldn't be able to do this really without some of the great partners, certainly the amazing artists that you're going to hear tonight, and without Pro Art. And so I'm going to introduce Mr. Michael McNulty from Pro Art, and thank you, Pro Art, for being a great partner and being able to help us provide some of these cultural arts experiences. So welcome and have a great night.
Hi, I'm Michael McNulty. I'm from Pro Art. We're delighted, thrilled to be part of this community and listen to some great music. We'd like to congratulate Mountain Empire Community College on their 50 years. Mountain Empire Community College is one of our underwriters. We have a season of about 25 shows. We have some of the lowest ticket prices in the country. We're very proud of making the arts accessible for Wise, Dickinson, and Lee counties. If you're interested, we have a season brochure. You can see all of our shows. Look up information about our season tickets if you're interested. But we'd especially like to thank Mountain Empire Community College for their support, as well as the Slump Foundation, the Virginia Commission for the Arts, and the National Endowment for the Arts. And we hope you enjoy the show tonight. I'm going to turn it back over to Tyler.
All right, well, we certainly want to extend a huge thank you to Michael and all the Pro Art staff for all their hard work. We've been working on this since January, so it's a great partnership, and we're very grateful for their support. And we want to thank other folks as well, Mountain Empire Community College and Homecraft Days. It doesn't happen without an entire village, truly, of supportive and loving folks who care for this festival. And just some of those organizations include Virginia State Parks and Mountain Empire Older Citizens. We want to thank the foundation here at Mountain Empire Community College and all the staff and volunteers and faculty here at MECC as well. And we want to thank our partners at Old Dominion Power as well. So. And I guess y'all don't want to hear any more talking. You're here for some music, right? Well, we're going to hop to it. We're going to bring out some special friends here. Please welcome to the stage Ben Kaiser and Tommy Bledsoe.
We can't start Friday night without Tommy Bledsoe, and of course I know you're wondering where Rich is. He's okay. He'll be here this weekend. He'll be here Sunday, so come back out and see Rich, of course. But we're thankful to have Tommy here with us. We just can't do it without him, of course, and all his knowledge and of booking bands throughout the year, and all of his music knowledge. And of course, this is his grandson, Ben. So here he is passing the torch on again and again and again, right?
That's the way it works. You know, that's the way it works. Of course, Todd Mead here is the great grandson of Uncle Charlie Osborne, who was such a great inspiration to many of us young musicians coming along and played here at the festival for many years. And we're going to start out with one of his tunes that he loved to play. And this is one I hope you'll enjoy, and feel free to dance if you feel like it. It's one called Sugar in the Gourd. sugar in the gourd, and the gourd on the ground. Way to get sugar out and roll the gourd around. I went down to my cornfield, black snake bit me on my heel, turned around for to do my best, ran my head in a hornet's nest. Sugar in the gourd, can't get it out, way to get sugar out, hold the gourd about. Sugar in the gourd and the gourd on the ground, way to get sugar out, hold the gourd around. Had a little duck, she had a wet foot, built her nest in the mulberry root. Pull out the grass, keep us up warm, and a little drink can do me no harm. Sugar in the gourd, can't get it out, way to get sugar out, roll the gourd about. Sugar in the gourd and the gourd on the ground, way to get sugar out, roll the gourd around. All right. Well, thank you so much. Brandon, I just noticed that there's a mic over here. I probably should have been using that a little bit, maybe, huh? All right. That's what you get for not attending the sound check. We were practicing. Well, it's great to see Dr. Westover again and everybody here at Mountain Empire Community College. You know, it started out, as she said, you know, with the festival kind of happening before the school actually was formally open. And then it was Homecraft Day for a long time, Homecraft Day, because it was only one day. And then it went to 2 days, so we called it Homecraft Days. And then with the help of ProArt and the great service that they've done to help this festival kind of step up and really accent some of the finer musicians in our region, it became Homecraft Days. We've decided that it's going to be, from now on, we'll call it Homecraft Week. And if that goes across pretty good, then we're just going to call this Homecraft College. How about that? Let's do that. All right, well, so we got the...
Switching up, gearing up for the Kia F here.
Okay,
So,
very well.
yeah, one of the most beautiful things about Homecraft Days is it really does feel like a homecoming for so many folks. And there's been such a long tradition of musicians and crafters here in Southwest Virginia and East Tennessee and Eastern Kentucky that have always showcased their work and their artwork here. And one of those great musicians was a lady by the name of Kate Peters Sturgill, who was a songwriter and a musician from Josephine, just up the road outside of the big city of Norton there. And she wrote some beautiful music about Southwest Virginia and growing up here. And this is one of my favorite songs that she wrote, called My Stone Mountain Home. I'm sure she probably performed this several times while she was here. We told Tommy he could retire from being a stagehand, but you know, he just
can't give it up.
He just can't give it up. A 1, 2, 3, a 1, 2. There's a dear old home nestled in the heart of the hills, where the trailing arbutus grows, where the red rhododendrons bloom on the cliffs. It's there I am longing to go. Sweet memories return of my childhood and youth, when I used to wander there. Happy hours I'd spend by the old mill stream, never a sorrow or care. I'm longing for my dear old home, that old home in Stone Mountain far away, where at twilight you can hear the whippoorwills call and the birds sweetly sing all the day. Where the catawba tree blooms by the side of the path, in that dear old familiar spot. Although many years have passed away, it has never been forgot. Where the peep-owl calls warning to approaching storm, and you hear the humming of bees. Where the cattle and sheep graze on the hill, that is home, sweet home to me. I'm longing for my dear old home, that old home in Stone Mountain far away, where at twilight you can hear the whippoorwills call and the birds sweetly sing all the day. I'm longing for my dear old home, that old home in Stone Mountain far away, where at twilight you can hear the whippoorwills call and the birds sweetly sing all the day. Thank you. You want to read too? Okay. You okay? All right. Well, as Tommy said, we're thrilled to have his grandson Ben up here with us. He's doing awfully good, ain't he? That's right. He lives up around Floyd, Virginia, and is spending lots of time over at the Handmade Music School, another great cultural arts institution here in Southwest Virginia. So we're going to feature him here on this next fiddle tune. We'll do a couple more for you, and then we'll move on with the show here. We've got a great night of music planned for y'all with the New River Rail Splitters and Tim O'Brien and Jan Fabriscus. So it's an exciting evening here.
All right. So we got Reuben's train.
Reuben's Train. They're still tuning, so I guess I need to talk more. We want to make sure to also extend a big thank you to the Crooked Road. They've been a partner of Home Craft Days since the beginning. The Crooked Road is a heritage music trail that winds through 19 counties and 4 cities in Southwest Virginia. And they're doing great work. They've got some new leadership that's taken over in the last couple of years, and they're really focusing hard on building great experiences for musicians and artists and listeners all across the communities of Southwest Virginia. So make sure you say a big hello to them if you see them out at the festival this weekend. Where you going?
This is called musical instruments. All right. Hit it, Ben. Well, you ought to been in town, see the train come down. You could hear the whistle blow 100 miles. Well, Yes, oh Lordy me, oh Lordy mine, hear the whistle blow 100 miles. Now Reuben had a train, he ran it on the track. He ran into the Lord knows where. It's oh Lordy me, it's oh Lordy mine. He ran into the Lord knows where. If my woman says so, I'll railroad no more. I'd sidetrack my train and go home. It's oh Lordy me, it's oh Lordy mine. I'd sidetrack my train and go home. We just ran out of track. Well, I want to, that some of you, how many people here tonight are new to Homecraft Days? How many people? There are some. Good. Thank you so much for choosing to come out here for this Friday night concert, and I hope and I expect you'll be around for the weekend because there's such a great lineup of musicians down there. This festival started as a way to celebrate the local traditions here in Wise, Scott, Lee, Dickinson, southwestern Virginia, eastern Kentucky, East Tennessee, southern West Virginia, and it has continued to be a kind of a homecoming for many of the musicians and craft people here. We don't try to find what's new and hot and happening and current. We want to make sure, we want to see how traditions continue, how they grow, how they develop, what happens when the old folks move on to a better place or another place, and what happens, who comes along to take those traditions and how do they interpret them and how do they carry them on. That's why we're happy to have, of course, Tyler here. He grew up with this festival. Todd grew up with Uncle Charlie Osborne, playing fiddle when Todd was about 4 years old. I do remember that. And Ben grew up listening to me when I would come and visit them. And so we're trying to keep this thing going. Just a side note, Ben Kaiser started playing fiddle a year ago in July. So... pretty good hands. All right, let's get one here.
All right, we'll do one more for you here and hop on here. Maybe if you feel like dancing, you'll jump up and dance a little with us.
that strap's small. I couldn't hardly get in there. All right, thank you. That was so fun. That's
Sure, you're not supposed to dance before you're supposed to talk.
yeah, and after barbecue. You're supposed to wait 30 minutes after barbecue, I
That's
think,
right,
before
that's
you
right.
dance.
Before you flatfoot.
Right, well, that was very fun. All right, hopefully the fellas are ready.
I reckon so.
We're gonna-
You tell them about them and I'll
Yes,
drag
sir.
'em
I will. We're thankful to have the rail splitters, the New River Rail Splitters. Sometimes they change that first word sometimes, so we have to watch out who we're getting. But we're very thankful that they're going to be here tonight. I'm sure they'll tell you, but we hate that Julie Shepherd Powell's not here with us tonight. She had some sickness come up, so but they're going to knock your socks off. You're going to love the old time tunes and things that they're going to do. I'm sure if you want to do some more dancing, they'll be happy to oblige that. I know it's hard on that carpet. Yes, yeah. All right, are they ready? All right, come on out here, fellas. All right. All right, if you all make welcome the New River Rail Splitters. Thank you all.
You reckon you see that? Yeah, I got my glasses on. Well, I'll start off with a fiddle tune here. This one comes from not too far from where I grew up. This one comes from Northern Virginia, from John Ashby. A little tune called Ashby's Breakdown. Thank you. That was a good ending. All right. Well, string change time. Guitar Repair 101. You cursed me. All right. Thank y'all. We'll try something a little easier. Good? Yeah, think so. Ain't gonna work tomorrow? Yep. Let's do that one. All right. Let's see if we can't break some more strings.
Let's do that. This will be the string restringing demonstration for the evening. Yeah. Well, I'm going to leave this country and I'm going to leave this world. I'm going to leave this country for the sake of that one little girl. Wake up, darling Corey. Tell me what makes you sleep so sound. Them highway robbers waiting, and my dear will almost be down. Dig a hole in the meadow. Dig a hole in that cold damp ground. Dig a hole in the meadow. Gonna lay darling Corey down.
Thank y'all. This thing, I love this, Tyler. This was in drop D the whole time. I could have really got some sound out of it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, that's awesome. Found out new rhythmic possibilities. Tyler Hughes doing the restringing over here. That's so awesome. Thank you. It's real service. You don't get that at all the festivals.
That's it.
Usually.
Tell them about your book.
Oh
Trevor.
yeah. Oh shoot. Yeah. When I'm not breaking strings on guitars in front of audiences in front of paying audiences, I'm do a little bit of research on some stuff. I've worked with the Center for the Appalachian Studies over at Appalachian State University, a few years ago, I wrote a book on an outlaw from Wilkes County, North Carolina, just right next to there. He was a man named Otto Wood that was born back in the 1890s and made a name for himself as a escape artist. He escaped from 5 different state penitentiaries 11 different times. And across the South and Midwest, between the years of 1913 and 1930, he was killed in a gunfight on New Year's Eve 1930 in the streets of Salisbury, North Carolina. It was made all more amazing by the fact that he was born with a clubbed left foot and was missing his left hand. And so he was known as this sort of the Houdini of Cell Block A is what they called him. But when he was killed, there were a couple of ballads written about him. And this is one of them. Step up, buddies, and listen to my song. I sing it to you right, but you might sing it wrong. It's a story about a man they called Otto Wood. I can't tell it all, but I wish I could. He stepped in a pawn shop a rainy day, and there he had a quarrel with the clerk, so they say. He pulled out his pistol and struck a fatal blow, and this is the way that the story goes. Otto, why didn't you run? Otto's done dead and gone. Otto Wood, why didn't you run when the sheriff pulled out that 44 gun? Well, they spread the word as fast as they could. The sheriff said people catch Otto Wood. Well, the jury said murder in the 2nd degree. You got to send poor Wood down to penitentiary. And he was a man that would not run, 'cause he always toted a 44 gun. He loved the women, but he hated the law, and he just wouldn't take nobody's jaw. Otto, why didn't you run? Otto's done dead and gone. Otto Wood, why didn't you run when the sheriff pulled out that 44 gun?
Well, the second time they caught him was away out west. In a hold-up game, he got shot through the breast. They brought him back and they got him well. They locked him down in a dungeon cell. Well, it was a man that would not hide, wouldn't hold a man called Otto Wood. He managed some way to get outside, and with his pistol he demanded his right. Otto, why didn't you run? Otto's done dead and gone. Otto Wood, why didn't you run when the sheriff pulled out that 44 gun? Well, he rambled out west and he rambled all around till he met two sheriffs in a southern town. They said, Otto, step to the way, 'cause we've been expecting you every day. He pulled out his pistol and then he said, if you make a crooked move, you both be dead. Better crank up the car and take me out of town. But a few minutes later, he was graveyard bound. Otto, why didn't you run? Otto's done dead and gone. Otto Wood, why didn't you run when the sheriff pulled out his 44 gun? Otto Wood, why didn't you run when the sheriff pulled out that 44 gun? There we go. Thank y'all. Y'all said there were a couple of versions of that ballad. I was getting a couple of them confused. There was one that was recorded by a bunch called King Benny Nawahi's Hawaiians. So it's one of the few Appalachian murder ballads that you can dance to. But I was getting some of the lyrics crossed up in there, but it worked out. Between that one and the more standard version.
All right. Let's play this tune over in G.
Okay.
We'll do this fiddle tune from many parts. Charlie Acuff's kind of who I have in mind whenever I hear this one. A little tune called Shoot That Turkey Buzzard.
So this next one we got on the list is from a group called Grayson and Witter. Sort of made it popular back in the day. I think you thought of it coming through Johnson City earlier.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Traveled the whole wide world over. Went to Johnson City.
And it's got shout outs to Marion, near where I'm from, Virginia, yeah. Or Mern, as they say over there. Let's do it. It's called Always Been a Rambler.
I've always been a rambler, my fortune's been quite hard. Always loved the women, drank whiskey and played cards. My parents treated me kindly, for they had no boy but me. My mind was set at wandering, and home I couldn't agree. There was a wealthy farmer that lived in the country by. The farmer had a daughter on who I cast my eye. She was so tall and handsome, so pretty and so fair. There weren't one girl in the whole wide world with her I could compare. I left old North Carolina to Marion I did go. Went on to Johnson City, gonna see this wide world old. Booze and work were plentiful and the girls treated me kind, but the only object of my heart was the one I left behind. As I rode out one evening out on the public square, the mail had just arriven when the postboy met me there. Handed me a letter that gave me to understand that the gal I left Carolina had married another man. I read a little further and I saw that it was true. My heart was filled with trouble, I didn't know what to do. My heart was filled with trouble, now trouble's in my mind. I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna gamble for the one I left behind. There we are. Thank y'all.
learned some of the words from that. I'd like to give a little bit of a shout out to some of the bass runs on the guitar, and some of the words I learned from that were from a fella named Max Snow, who was from down in Surrey County, North Carolina, who was kind of a real inspiration to me. I got to play with him a couple years, but he always did that verse, Jaybird died of whooping cough, blackbird died of colic. Things don't get much better here, I'm going to the frolic. So it was kind of a wild verse, but I figure I'll keep it in there. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, man. Unfortunately. So what we got? What'd you say the next one here?
John Henry.
All right. Yeah, yeah.
R&D.
When John Henry was a little baby boy, no bigger than the palm of your hand, picked up a hammer and a little piece of steel, saying, hammer's gonna be the death of me. That hammer's gonna be the death of me. Well, Captain, he said to John Henry, won't you bring my old steam drill round? Gonna put that old steam drill out on the job. Walk that old steel right on down. Gonna walk that old steel right on down. Well, John Henry, he hammered in the mountain until he reached the other side. And he hammered so hard that it strained his poor heart. Laid down that hammer and he died. He laid down that hammer and he died. But it's every Sunday evening when the bluebird begins to sing. You can go up by that old Big Ben tunnel, hear John Henry's hammer when it rings. John Henry's hammer when it rings. John Henry had him a pretty little woman, and her name was Polly Ann. John Henry took sick and he had to go to bed, and Polly drove that steel like a man. And Polly drove that steel like a man. Time for a pitiful one?
It can be.
Yeah, all right. Do you want to do
Which
Short
one?
Life of Trouble?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, the G. Yeah, this is another G.B. Grayson and Henry Witter tune. This is Short Life of Trouble. This is one that I like to sing a lot. Yeah. Two more? All right, sounds good. We'll have to do two fast ones after this.
I hear that train a-coming. She's blowing that station blow. Rather be dead and in my grave, see my darling go. Show life of trouble, only words to part. Short life of trouble, dear girl, poor boy with a broken heart. Remember what you promised, not more than a week ago. Promise that you'd marry me, standing in your papa's front door. But now you broke your promise, go and marry whoever you may. This old world's so big and so wide, I'd ramble back someday. Short life of trouble, only words to part. Short life of trouble, dear girl, poor boy with a broken heart. If I owned this whole wide world and all that's in it too, I'd give all my wealth in silver and gold if I could have married you. Short life of trouble, only words to part. Short life of trouble, dear girl, poor boy with a broken heart. It's a short life of trouble, dear girl, poor boy with a broken heart. Thank y'all.
Well, unfortunately, our band leader's not here tonight. Be my wife, she is at home sick, got the flu, didn't want to come spread it around. We'll play a couple fast fiddle numbers for her. Any of y'all get tired of sitting down, you're welcome to hop up and dance a step. Or not. You don't have to be, it's dark in here, so nobody see you.
What were you thinking?
Oh, well, I guess might as well go to 8. Let's do
All right.
do the Gray Eagle.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hickory Jack?
Sure. All right. Well, my wife, and since she's not here, I'll tell a little bit about it. I moved around about 4 different states before we got married, and then we got married, and we both moved around 4 states. Again, we make this loop around Virginia, Kentucky, North Carolina, Tennessee, kind of all around. We've done it twice.
Yeah. The band's been the Rail Splitters in several different states, hasn't it?
Yeah. We lived here for a while in Big Stone Gap, and we were the Lonesome Pine Rail Splitters
Okay.
for a while.
All right. I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah. Well, play a Kentucky tune here. Here's one called the Hickory Jack. Thank y'all so much.
All right, how about another hand for the New River Rail Splitters, Adrian Shepard-Powell and Trevor McKenzie. Thank you all so much. That's some of the best fiddling you'll ever hear, I promise you. All right, well, we're going to take a 15-minute intermission, but stick around because Tim O'Brien and Jan Fabricius are coming up, and you don't want to miss that. There's merchandise out front, and you can find out more about ProArt and all of their programming. So please stick around. We'll be back in 15 minutes.
Went down to the corner just to meet a drink of gin. But the first thing I knew I was reeling, rocking and drunk again. I kept drinking gin and liquor till way up in the night. With my pal walked into the barroom. We had an awful fight. I reached down for my razor, and then we knocked around. But when I pulled my pistol, I quickly smoked him down. Hey, hey, ho, ho. I went down to see my baby and met her on the way. I told her I'd have to leave her. I told her I could not stay. I started down to the station and stopped in at the bar. There I met a policeman riding in a motor car. We both drank lots of liquor, that flat-footed cop and I thought he would never leave me. Lord, I thought I'd die. My baby came in to join us, and then it began to rain. Then I had to hurry to catch that midnight train. I laid my head in the barroom door. I'll never get drunk anymore. I've pawned my watch and my golden chain. I've pawned my baby's diamond ring. Police, 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 you're just as drunk as me. I'll grab that old eight-wheeler and make for the deep blue
I'm headed for a land that's far away beside the crystal fountains. So come with me, we'll go and see the big rock candy mountains. In the big rock candy mountains, there's a land that's fair and bright, where the handouts grow on bushes and you sleep out every night, where the boxcars all are empty and the sun shines every day on the birds and the bees and the cigarette trees, the lemonade springs where the bluebird sings. In the big rock candy mountains, in the big rock candy mountains, all the cops have wooden legs and the bulldogs all have rubber teeth and the hens lay soft-boiled eggs. The farmers' trees are full of fruit and the barns are full of hay. Oh, I'm bound to go where there ain't no snow, where the rain don't fall, the wind don't blow. In the big rock candy mountains, in the big rock candy mountains, you never change your socks, and the little streams of alcohol come a-trickling down the rocks. The brakemen have to tip their hats and the railroad bulls are blind. There's a lake of stew and a whiskey too. You can paddle all around them in a big canoe. In the big rock candy mountains, in the big rock candy mountains, the jails are made of tin, and you can walk right out again as soon as you are in. There ain't no short-handled shovels, no axes, saws, or picks. I'm a-going to stay where you sleep all day, where they hung the
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if we could be making our way back to our seats, we'll get on with the show here. Before we get started with our final act for the evening, I want to say a real special thanks to Alan Maggard, Brandon Maggard, and T-Bone up there in the sound booth. If you would, give them a round of applause. We never have to worry about the technical side of things with competent folks like them behind the board. So make sure you tell them thank you. And speaking of them, they'll be down and on the main campus all weekend long. Music is going to kick off tomorrow morning at 10:30, and all the crafts open up at 10. So make sure you come on up. And just want to remind you, if you're wanting to come up for the crafts and you don't want to fight the parking tomorrow, that there are several shuttle stations across the town of Big Stone Gap. You can park, and the MEOC transit system will deliver you right here to campus, and they'll run all evening until everybody's back safely at their vehicles. So you don't have to fight the parking to get back up here this weekend. All right, one more time, how about a big hand for the New River Rail Splitters? We were so pleased that we could have them back. When Julie and Adrian lived here in Big Stone, Julie and I used to run all the time. We were good running buddies, so I hated that she was sick and couldn't be here, but so good to hear and see Adrian and Trevor for sure. All right, well, without further ado, we were so excited to partner with ProArt to bring the headlining act to Home Craft Days this year. Personally, I've been a big fan of them for many years and always looked up to Tim's music and his writing, and you all are in for a real treat. They've got some copies of their latest record, He Walked On, right outside. Tim O'Brien was raised in Wheeling, West Virginia, and has been known for his works with groups like Hot Rise and a fabulous solo career as well, and has appeared here in Big Stone Gap before, down at the Gathering in the Gap. But we were so pleased that we could have him and his wife back. So please make them welcome Tim O'Brien and Jan Fabricius.
How you doing out there? Man, there's been some good music so far. We'll try to keep it up for you here. Yeah. Let me get this going here. Get everything right, and we'll try to make it right. All right. We're going to start with one about guys breaking up the ground, breaking up the sod out in western Nebraska. Western Kansas, where Jan's from. Sod Buster. 1, 2, 3. Lightning struck Struck the team, run wild, tore up a harness and a brand new plow. It's a hard go trying to make $1, sod buster. Runaway team, fence tore down, kicking up dust all the way to town. It's a hard go trying to make $1, sod buster. Hard times, hard land, trying to make a dime, but I'll be damned. Dry old heat and hell tend to get the upper hand. Scratch that ground, pray for rain. Sometime trouble ain't worth the pain. It's a hard go trying to make $1, sod buster. Wasn't for that, we wouldn't get fed. It's a hard go trying to make $1, sod buster. Hard times, hard land, trying to make a dime, but I'll be damned. Dry old heat and hell tend to get the upper hand. Wife took sick, she got the flu. Lord, I'm doing all I can do. It's a hard go trying to make $1, sod buster. Life's got a way of handing out lumps. It's a hard go trying to make $1, sod buster. Hard times, hard land, trying to make a dime, but I'll be damned. Dry old heat and hell tend to get the upper hand. Scratch that ground, pray for rain. Sometime trouble ain't worth the pain. It's a hard go trying to make $1, sod buster. It's a hard go trying to make $1, sod buster. Thank you very much, folks. We appreciate you listening to our part of the show. Had a lot of great music so far. Really enjoyed that. That one feller, Ben, he must not have had much else in his hand but that fiddle in the last year. Really doing a good job on that. Good to see that coming along. And we're going to do an old-time song for you now. I learned this from Clarence Ashley's recordings, but he left a lot of the story out, so I kind of went to other versions. But this is one of those old folk songs with a familiar story. This one, young couple, they're pledging their love to one another because the guy's got to go off to war. And the way these old-time songs, these old ballads work, they're usually gone 7 years for whatever reason. So 7 years later, he comes back and he expects her to remember him. Let's see what happens, girls. A one, and a two, and a three. Pretty fair maid was in her garden when a stranger came riding by. He came up to the gate and called her, said, pretty fair maid, would you be my bride? She said, I have a true love who's in the army. He's been gone for 7 long years, and if he's gone 7 years longer, I'll still be waiting for him here. Perhaps he's on some watercourse drowning. Perhaps he's on some battlefield slave. Perhaps he's too short fair girl married. You may never see him again. If he's drowned, I hope he's happy. Or if he's on some battlefield slain. And if he's too short fair girl married, I love the girl that married him. His hand out of his pocket, and on his finger he wore a golden ring. And when she saw that band shining, a brand new song her heart did sing. Then he threw his arms all around her, kisses gave her 1, 2, 3. He said, I'm your true and loving soldier, let's come back home to Mary Lee. Pretty fair maid was in her garden when a stranger came riding by. He came up to her gate and called her, said, pretty fair maid, will you be my bride? All right, folks. We came up from Nashville, Tennessee yesterday and had a beautiful drive and had a relaxing day here and got to meet all the folks involved in the show. It's a great event that we're part of and we're proud to be here. We'd like to sing a song from a new record that's called He Walked On, and the song it sort of refers to the fact that I haven't looked at my phone for the last 9 minutes. And I get kind of nervous when that happens. So this is called I'm Nervous. 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3. Well, I get nervous about the guy in the next lane, about the luggage space on the plane, about the bills I have to pay, and how long the guests will stay. I'm nervous. I'll get hungry when I'm walking on the street. There's nothing safe to eat. When I count my calories, it brings me to my knees. I'm nervous. I got a whole new kind of need. So nervous. Better check my social feed, watch TV on my phone, and I'm afraid to be alone. I'm nervous. In this new world, they say digital is best, but I need to take a rest. I just can't find the fun in all the zeros and the ones. I'm nervous. Every few minutes, stuff pops up on my screen. I don't know what it means. 10 times too much news, and they're trying to confuse me. I'm nervous. I got a whole new kind of need. So nervous. Better check my social feed, watch TV on my phone, and I'm afraid to be alone. I'm nervous. Oh yes, I'm nervous when I go out on a run. Can't conceal my gun. They say this land is free, but they take an aim at me. I'm nervous. I'm just saying, maybe Omicron is waning. but Trump is still campaigning. Sterilize your shorts and socks. Here comes that monkeypox, and I'm nervous. I got a whole new kind of need, so nervous. Better check my social feed, watch TV on my phone, and I'm afraid to be alone. I'm nervous. I got a whole new kind of need, so nervous. Better check my social feed, watch TV on my phone, and I'm afraid to be alone. I'm nervous. All right. Well, Jan, I met Jan out in Kansas at the festival there called the Walnut Valley Festival in near Wichita, and we started dating about 10 years ago. I knew her through the bluegrass crowd as Jan from Kansas, or shortened to Jansis. And then we started dating, and she moved to Tennessee to live with me. I started calling her Janisee. But then a year ago, in July, a little more than a year ago, we got married. So now I call her Mrs. O'Brien. We're gonna do a song about us for you, and I'm gonna roll up my sleeves because it's important. All right, it's called "I Breathe In." 1, 2, 3. I breathe in and I reach out for you. I breathe out and call your name. I breathe in and I know I love you. I breathe out and you love me just the same. The only way I know to love you is with my soul and with my heart. And I can't claim to know love's ending. I can't find out where it starts. When I'm walking in the morning, when I'm talking to my friends, there's a flame that burns inside me. It's a light that never ends. I breathe in and I reach out for you. I breathe out and call your name. I breathe in and I know I love you. I breathe out and you love me just the same. When you see me from a distance, I'm the same man when I'm near, and my heart is always calling, even though you cannot hear. In the shadows growing longer, in the darkness spreading round, in my dreams and in my waking, in the early morning sound. I breathe in and I reach out for you. I breathe out and call your name. I breathe in and I know I love you. I breathe out and you love me just the same. Now the time has come to leave you. I'm gonna hurt to say goodbye, and I'll remember all our good times as the teardrops dim my eyes. It's just all a part of the story. In our dying we can live, and all the love that I am taking is all the love I have to give. Thank you very much. Well, back in February of 2020, before the pandemic shut everything down, we were visiting some friends that were down in the Southwest, down in Arizona, advocates for migrants down there. They do water drops and have a food bank and they work on both sides of the border. It's a kind of multinational and religious orders and that kind of thing, working on helping folks. And we were down on the southern side at Nogales, looking north, about 200 yards south of the checkpoint there. You can see the people going north, but there's a little soup kitchen there run by nuns. It's called El Comedor. And we saw a young indigenous woman waiting in line for the first seating of that day. And she had a baby at her breast. And we imagined what she'd been through to get that far and what she was facing in the near future. This is about, kind of in her honor, called El Comedor. I can see La Frontera from where I stand. It lighted El Comedor. Just over that wall is the promised land. It lighted El Comedor. It's a long, long way from my home to here. I was driven by hope and by fear. And I pray to the Madre to hold back my tears. It lighted El Comedor. I feed you and hold you here in my arms. It lighted El Comedor. If I can stay strong, I'll keep you from harm. It lighted El Comedor. We watch and we wait and we run and we ride. In daytime we rest and we hide. Now Coyote tells me be ready tonight. It lighted El Comedor. We arrived here so hungry just 3 days ago. It lighted El Comedor. Now we stand with our brothers we met on the road. It lighted El Comedor. Watch and we wait and we run and we ride. And in daytime we rest and we hide. Don't move tonight, she'll feed us again. It lighted El Comedor. La Gringa Vieja, small as I am, and lighted El Comedor. She draws out the trail on the palm of my hand, and lighted El Comedor. She tells me the new moon will help me to see marks places where water will be. She tells me her friends will watch out for me in lighted El Comedor.
see La Frontera from where I stand in line at El Comedor. Just over that wall is the promised land in line at El Comedor.
Thank you very much, folks. All right. We're going to play a song. Now, being bluegrass musicians or folk musicians, string players, you're kind of obligated, if you're in the union anyway, you're obligated to play at least one prison song or murder song, train thing, or maybe a coal mine thing. So we're going to do the coal mining elective to keep our license tonight. I come from West Virginia. I come from up in the northern panhandle in Wheeling. So much great music from West Virginia. This song was actually written by a guy from Kentucky, but we won't hold that against him. The song takes place in West Virginia at the Big Branch Mine. I think it's 2008. There was a big explosion there. 29 miners died. This is called 5 Miles In and 1 Mile Down. 1, 2, 29 dead down under the ground. 5 miles in and 1 mile down. 5 miles in and 1 mile down. Fire in the coal mine south of town. Too little, too late, we're asking why. Why it is the 29 died. Way back when in 84. Told the owner of the mine he can't dig no more. You're breaking the rules and you gotta stop. You gotta think about the men bringing coal to the top. You gotta think about all those men who dig. But money's like mud to a corporate pig. In the stack, and a dirty politician who had his back. So they sent all the money up to D.C. with the note that said rules ain't for me. All the money changed hands and the rich man lied. Now there's a widow and the kids in an old double wide. It's an old double wide set back in the trees, hound dog on the porch, the widow on her knees, praying to the Lord, what'll I do? You took my man and trusted you. I went to church and sang in the choir, prayed to you every waking hour. You promised me everlasting life, not just a dead coal miner's wife. Seem to care. They found him slumped over in his chair. They said that's a hell of a way a man to die. The gun in his lap, bullet hole in his eye. They said it was him that let the hammer down, but his prints weren't on the gun they found. Now judgment day has come to pass. God dangle that man above the shaft. The devil hollered up from down below. Send him on down, there's fire in the hole. Send him on down, there's fire in the hole. Send him on down, the one is soul. So think about the miner when you turn on the light.
about the miner when you wake at night. Pray for the miner when you're down on your knees, 'cause the number 9 coal don't grow on trees. Yeah, man. All right, thank you very much, folks. We're gonna sing a song that I learned from one of my many heroes, a fella from Belmont County, Ohio, just across the river from where I grew up, and he was the first guy I knew that could play bluegrass and kind of write new songs that felt right in the old tradition, and I learned a lot from him. But he was a guy who could, he could play bluegrass, mandolin and guitar and banjo and that kind of thing. He always had a plug of tobacco in his mouth, and then he'd quote Nietzsche or Shakespeare in between spits, kind of a cool thing. One of his songs. 2, 3. Ready on the left, ready on the right, ready on the firing line. In this world, you got to be ready, got to have everything just so. You got to be ready just to hang around, and you got to be ready to go. You got to be ready just to hear the words. You must be ready just to read the sign. You must be ready on the left, ready on the right, ready on the firing line. Now sometimes when you feel all so stone alone, you can't even find a place to sit down. Don't make no never mind just how hard you look, there ain't a true friend to be found. Get hip a thing or two or put a buzz on you, it'll help you not to waste your time. Just be ready on the left, ready on the right, ready on the firing line. When I think of sweet Jesus just a-hanging up on Calvary's tree, he was just trying to keep on a-trucking, but they would not let him be. Sometimes I'm thinking that it ain't no use, it just ain't no use in trying. Still I'm ready on the left, ready on the right, ready on the firing line. Now in this world, you got to be ready, got to have everything just so. You got to be ready just to hang around, and you got to be ready to go. You got to be ready just to hear the words, you must be ready just to read the sign. Just be ready on the left, ready on the right, ready on the firing line. Just be ready on the left, ready on the right, ready on the firing line. Thank you very much. Well, we've been busy trying to get in line to make a new recording, and we're going to try a new song out on you. And I know that's not really the best thing to try, but we're going to do it anyway. You can't do anything about it now. But I wrote this with a fellow from over near Chapel Hill named Jonathan Bird. We tune because you care, folks, so we really don't care, but you might like that. All right, this is called Cup of Sugar. 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3.
my neighbor plays his music for our whole neighborhood. I wouldn't really mind the volume if his taste was any good. Said he saw me on the TV, said he kinda liked my song. I'll be honest, it surprised me, maybe he's not always wrong. I try to pick my battles, don't want to start a war. If I need a cup of sugar, I'll knock on my neighbor's door. I see him out a lot more often, now the weather's nice again. If people ever saw us talking, they might even think we're friends. 20 years they've been my neighbors, still don't know what makes him tick. One rule I know to follow, don't bring up politics. I try to pick my battles, don't want to start a war. If I need a cup of sugar, I'll knock on my neighbor's door. We watched our kids grow up together, called them in when it got dark outside. I loaned him my tools, we swam in his pool, brought casseroles when somebody died. Now my neighbor's on vacation, some western tourist trail. I'll cut his grass when it gets tall. I told him I'd take in his mail. In this world there's lots of trouble, doesn't matter where you are. Jesus said to love your neighbor, but you don't have to go that far. I try to pick my battles, don't want to start a war. If I need a cup of sugar, I'll knock on my neighbor's door. I'll walk around the fence between us, I won't go running to the store. If I need a cup of sugar, I'll knock on my neighbor's door. All right, Jen's discussed it with me, so I'll play the fiddle and she'll wait. She just doesn't like to be around when I'm doing this. Don't worry, honey, it won't take long. No, I'm just gonna do this one. This was a tune I learned years ago from friends and from recordings, and especially from hearing Bill Monroe sing it every time I ever saw him play. He would sing it as a gospel quartet. Of course, they'd have 4 parts, harmonies, and that kind of thing. I can't do that with just the fiddle. I can do, though, some harmonies. I'm going to do that for you. And bluegrass is, let's face it, folks, they say bluegrass is better than it sounds. So, but they've done actually new studies, and the new data is showing, sorry to say, it's not as good as it sounds. But we're going to keep playing it anyway, because that's what we know. Anyway, working on a building.
anyway. I work on a building too. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord. It's a Holy Ghost building. It's a Holy Ghost building. Hallelujah. Holy Ghost building for my Lord, for my Lord. Well, if I was a drunkard, tell you what I would do. I would quit my drinking way. I'd work on a building too. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord. It's a Holy Ghost building. It's a Holy Ghost building. Hallelujah. Holy Ghost building for my Lord, for my Lord. Well, if I was a gambling man, tell you what I would do. I would quit my gambling with. I'd work on a building too. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord. It's a Holy Ghost building. It's a Holy Ghost building. Hallelujah. Holy Ghost building for my Lord, for my Lord. Well, if I was a preacher, I'd tell you what I would do. I would go on preaching, but I'd work on a building too. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord. It's a Holy Ghost building. It's a Holy Ghost building. It's a Holy Ghost building for my Lord, for my Lord. All right. Come on out, sweetheart.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. All right. I'm working on the building. Got a little holiness out in me there. Maybe I'll get some in me too. We're going to do a little old-time fiddle tune now. And this is one called Rye Straw. I want to say it's really nice to see Tommy Bledsoe out here because he used to be in a group called Rye Straw. I used to know those fellas years and years and years ago. So we'll do a tune in honor of Rye Straw called Rye Straw. And it goes something, but not exactly like this. All right, thank you very much, folks. Appreciate that. I saw a Thomas Jefferson quote out there in the hallway, in the lobby, which reminds me we'll be out in the lobby after the show, standing strategically close to our collection of CDs. We provide these CDs as a public service, ladies and gentlemen. We don't need the money, but it doesn't hurt or anything. And we got more of these than you have. Anyway, this is a song about Thomas Jefferson and his family. Goes like this. 1, 2, 3. After the death of his wife, Thomas Jefferson took his slave, Sally Hemings, as his consort. She had several children by him, and all those who survived were eventually granted their freedom, and there was a younger son named Madison, who corresponded with his older, lighter-skinned sister, Harriet, who had married and passed into white Washington society. Although at some point she stopped returning his letters. This song imagines a chance encounter between the two on a street somewhere. Can you see me, sister? Do you remember me? Do you feel my presence? I'm still on my knees. I can see you, sister, how your life has changed. Still here in the shadows, you're just out of range. Father, can you help me now? The chains are gone, but I still feel bound. Father, please look down on me till the day that I feel free. Can you see me, sister, in my shabby clothes? My life's so different from the one you know. I do not blame you, though we share a name. If my skin was lighter, I might do the same. Father, can you help me now? The chains are gone, but I still feel bound. Father, please look down on me till the day that I feel free. Bought and sold like cattle, people just like us. I couldn't look you in the eye, I could be whipped or worse. Mother, can you help me now? The chains are gone, but I still feel bound. Mother, please look down on me until the day that I feel free. Father, can you help me now? The chains are gone, but I still feel bound. Father, please look down on me until the day that I feel free. Can you see me, sister? Thank you very much. right, folks, appreciate your listening to our show. We travel, we get paid to travel, do all kind of stuff so that we can do this. And we do this part for free because it's fun. Best part of the day. Anyway, we'll do a song dedicated to the memory of the late, great Congressman John Lewis from Georgia. And let's hear it for John Lewis. Great activist, very effective in many ways, effective activist. It's long, slow work, but hard work, but effective, that he started in the 50s in Nashville, actually. They just named most of Fifth Avenue downtown Nashville. They named it Representative John Lewis Way, and that's kind of cool. That's where the Woolworths is that he did his first sit-ins. But he had a motto, when you pray, move your feet, which is kind of an African proverb, meaning put your thoughts and prayers and your hopes and dreams into action best you can. When you pray, move your feet. Bring in love to the people you meet. Get out your chair, walk the street. When you pray, move your feet. Feel like lightning in your hand when you reach out and help your fellow man. Stronger, stronger, the more you do. Each and every time you follow through. So when you pray, move your feet. Bring in love to the people you meet. Get out your chair, walk the street. When you pray, move your feet. I tell my lover everything I know. I take her with me everywhere I go. Well, it's understood that we're hand in hand. It means much more when we take a stand. True love travels from heart to heart. It's always there when you're ready to start. Up along that steep and winding road, love's gonna help you to lift that load. When you pray, move your feet. Bring in love to the people you meet. Get out your chair, walk the street. When you pray, move your feet. When the hard wind blows, the clouds rain down. Move your feet and make a joyful sound. Yeah, the Lord is listening, watching too. They'll keep you safe and push you through. John Lewis is gone, his words ring on and on and on. Clap your hands, help me sing his song, Good Trouble. Move your feet, 'cause we can't stop till we reach that mountain top. When you pray, move your feet. Bring in love to the people you meet. Get out your chair, walk the streets. When you pray, move your feet. When you pray, move your feet. Bring in love to the people you meet. Get out your chair, walk the street. When you pray, move your feet. Thank you. Thank you very, very, very much. Appreciate that. You know, we wonder we got to trust that we have the songs that we know how to sing, and you'll like them. You never know, though. Anyway, we're going to do a couple more songs, and we really appreciate you having us here at Big Stone Gap. Beautiful part of the world. It's just like stunning being around here. And all the history and the music is really another stunning thing. It's great to hear the Otto Wood, the Bandit, hear the story of the man. I used to hear Doc Watson sing that song. Didn't have the background. That's what these festivals are for. Get deeper into it. There's a song about a guy that has no home to go to. We're lucky we have a nice home to go home to tomorrow. I know it's I ought to use this tuner for once. You know, these things, these tuners, they used to be, when they first came out with electronic tuners, they were really expensive. Like mobile phones, they were really expensive and really big. They looked like a TV. Now they're just this big, and you can watch TV on them. I'm actually watching the baseball reruns while I tune this thing. Pretty much every string was slightly out of tune. And now they're still out of tune. This is in the key of F if you're playing along. This is called Brother Wind. Made up my mind to go someplace so far away. I headed west without a sad goodbye. No hugs or tears that way. It's probably for the best. Sent cards along the way. Said I was looking for a brand new life. But I never settled down. My wanderlust would always cut the ties like a knife. Sometimes a lonesome wind would calls out just like it knows me. And on a night like this, when I don't know where to go, it shows me the way. He knows me. My brother Will, he's lonely too, and he takes me away. I always looked ahead. I was so afraid I'd be caught behind. Followed a crooked stream in places I have never been, and one more highway sign. And I'm like some other guys, I might count the hours till the day will end. But it's not so I can rest. For me it's the time that's best for talking to my friend. 'Cause he knows me. My brother Wells, he's lonely too, and he takes me away. Now half my life is gone, and the only home I ever had is
this open road. My skin's all cracked and brown, a mirror to the desert ground and the dusty wind that always seems to blow. And I never made a mark, I just scattered footsteps on these shifting sands. Whatever pushes me, it's something only he could ever understand. 'Cause he knows me. My brother well, he's lonely too, and he takes me away. He knows me. My brother well, he's lonely too, and he takes me away. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you, thank you. We're going to end with a Carter family song. And everything's from right around this area. But the version I learned is from the Lilly Brothers from up around Beckley, West Virginia. And they were my favorites of bluegrass. I loved them anyway, and then when I found out they were from West Virginia, I liked them even more. That's the way that works, I guess. Anyway, I might have got through this whole show without a West Virginia joke, and that's pretty fine. This is one called Little Annie, or when the spring comes back again, when the springtime comes again, something like that. We know the words of the song, though. Thanks to Jennifer Brishes here on the mandolin, and I'm Tim O'Brien. Thanks to all the folks putting on the show, Tyler and everybody, and Mr. Maggard up there in the sound booth. Thank you for turning us up and making us sound good. Yeah. This is called Little Annie. 1, 2, 3. Once more, little Annie, I must leave you. We will part at the end of the lane. For you promised me, little Annie, you'd be waiting when the springtime comes again. When the springtime comes o'er the mountain, and the wildflowers scatter o'er the plain, I shall watch for the leaves to return to the trees. I'll be waiting when the springtime comes again. When the sun shines down on the mountain, and the wild sheep wandering all alone, and the birds and the bees are humming, it makes me think springtime won't be long. When the springtime comes o'er the mountain, and the wildflowers scatter o'er the plain, I shall watch for the leaves to return to the trees. I'll be waiting when the springtime comes again. springtime again, little lady, and I'm on my way to the lane. For you promised me, little lady, you'd be waiting when the springtime comes again. When the springtime comes o'er the mountain and the wildflowers scatter o'er the plain, I shall watch for the leaves to return to the trees. I'll be waiting when the springtime comes again. I shall watch for the leaves to return to the trees. I'll be waiting when the springtime comes again. Thank you. Thanks a million.
All right, one more time. How about it for Tim O'Brien and Jan Fabricius? Thank you all so much for attending the kickoff concert. Thanks to our friends at ProArt, Michael and